When I first really started getting into politics, I started looking at politics like, man, you know what? I think I want to be a lefty because I think the left has some type of policies that make sense to me, you know? Like I wanted everybody to have health care. Heck, who shouldn't be able to go to the doctor if they're sick? Then people should have a job that earned a decent wage. Okay, yeah, people need to make enough money in order to pay their bills so they can live indoors. And once again, living indoors is important. Hey, there shouldn't be homeless people in the richest country that was ever built. So all this made sense to me, and that's sort of the way I began my journey doing politics. But then I realized something that's kind of crazy. I realized that some of the things that I thought about politics, they didn't make much sense. What I'm saying is we can look at life through rose-colored glasses, or we can look at life for the way it actually is. For instance, if you're a woman, you can go for a jog at 5 in the morning by yourself. You can. It's not advisable because it's not safe. Because we know what could happen. It's not safe. So you have to go with a friend. Not because we don't want you to have that right, but because all the rights in the world won't protect you from the way the world is. Or can be. So that brings me to a topic where I'm at now. Immigration. In this video, we're going to talk about the immigration issue, hopefully in a different way to break this down. It's not going to be all shiny, have a bunch of stuff in it. We're going to get right to the point. And hopefully at the end of it, you'll say, hey, I learned some stuff. Or at least I got a different viewpoint. I kind of get what the other side's saying, even if I don't agree with it. My name's Tim Black, and this is Calling It Out. And no other place is it obvious that our politics is jacked up is the immigration issue. That's as far as you got to look and say, you know what? It all depends on what news service you choose, what your world outlook will really be. Even if you want to be unbiased, look at it, be real, keep it a buck, all that good stuff. So Joe Biden and Donald Trump both go down to Texas and go down to the southern border. And Biden goes to a place called Brownsville, Texas. Now, Brownsville, Texas is mostly a very orderly location for the southern border. It's kind of sanitized, you know what I'm saying? And you're less likely to have cameras capture a lot of migrants, illegal migrants or whatever, people who are just trying to cross the border illegally, right? Less likely to catch a lot of that stuff. Meanwhile, Donald Trump goes down to a place called Eagle Pass, Texas. And you're going to see a lot of stuff in Eagle Pass, Texas. I mean, this is a hotbed of illegal crossings and stuff like that. So both places were chosen for a reason, right? Because you're going to get a different narrative based on where you're at. You know, someone goes in your house and they say, hey, is your house clean? Well, if you take them to your bedroom, it's probably pretty nice. Maybe you clean up your room. But take it to your kid's room, and you got toddlers, the room's going to look like something hit it. That's sort of like what they did here. So therein lies the problem. Most of the time, we're looking at different vantage points. We're not even looking at the same picture, and we're being told a different narrative. So there are certain things about the immigration issue that are facts, okay? Over 7 million people cross the border illegally. 7 million, just this year. So, hey, that's a problem. I don't care who you are, all right? I guess, or maybe not. Maybe you think, hey, it's great. We got all these people coming in. And that would probably be okay as long as they're not coming to your neighborhood. Because when they come to your neighborhood, you might start to notice things like homeless people. Or the people that were waiting who are homeless already in your neighborhood. Now, there's no place for them to go because they don't have but so many places. There are a finite number of places to take care of people and finite amount of resources to take care of folks. And it kind of crushes into your worldview if you're somebody that says, hey, I'm on this particular spectrum of politics, and I believe that we should all be able to home people, house people, and people should be, and if people come here for help to America, they should be, get help because we are a superpower, hence what I said earlier about us being the richest country on earth. So Biden and Trump, they go down to these different locations, and based on that, we get different criticisms. Let's start with Joe Biden because he is president, meaning he is the guy who has the most amount of responsibility because he runs the country. Okay, so Joe Biden, they criticize. They say, Joe Biden, He gets heavy criticism for his handling of the illegal immigration. Record numbers of migrants have surged across the U.S. southern border, leading to concerns about border security and humanitarian challenges. His administration promised a more humane approach compared to the stricter border policies that were under Trump. Advocates argue that some of Biden's policies are unduly harsh. So that's crazy because he said, okay, I want to make my policies less punitive than Trump's, and then I guess that's what he does, and that's why we end up with more migrants. And then people say, "Hey, you're still too tight. You're too strict. Your punishments are too harsh." He's like, "Well, it's not like it's Trump, man. It's like what's going on." So that's the first thing. And during his visit, Biden thanked border agents and emphasized the need for more resources to address border control challenges. He also appealed directly to Trump, urging him to join efforts in passing a bipartisan border security bill. So that's the Biden worldview. That's what's happening in Biden world. This is a way a lot of folks who are liberals may be looking at it, or Democratic voters. And then you have the lefties who are like, no, man, we got to take care of the people at the border, man. We should not be throwing kids in cages. I don't know if that's still a thing. We should not be separating families. I don't know if that's still a thing. I don't think it is. But okay, they're on that type of stuff. They're like, richest country in the world. If it wasn't for us destabilizing the countries that these people come from, America is a big-time colonizer, taking people's resources, contributing to coups in Latin America, across Latin America, destabilizing governments. This is why we end up with a security crisis to begin with. That's why people need to come to America, because we had a hand in ruining their country and putting it in the situation that it's in. That's sort of the lefty point of view. And then you have the more conservative point of view, okay, which is, not in my backyard, look at what's going on. This is crazy. Where are the jobs? There's no place to ride my horsey. America screwed up. Help. And then there's criticism, of course, of Donald Trump. And his criticism is sort of like this. They say, Trump's focus on illegal immigration has been a key part of his campaign. Critics argue his policies and rhetoric contributed to a divisive atmosphere surrounding immigration. So basically, Trump's being a politician about immigration. He's trying to get votes for it. And of course, he wants to be divisive. That's how you get votes. Get votes by saying, hey, don't buy their chili, buy my chili. My chili is really great. Theirs is bad. They put stuff in it you shouldn't want to put in your body. Never buy from them. I don't know what's wrong with you. They got the worst plan of how to make chili in the world ever. And I don't know why they even make chili. Just leave the chili making up to us. And that's an analogy. I'm using chili, but that's sort of the way Trump does it with the whole immigration thing. Context. So Trump visits Eagle Pass, Texas. It coincided with Biden's visit, creating a dramatic split-screen moment. You're like, okay, so what's Biden at? Where's Trump at? What's the differences? And I already told you, they didn't go to the same place. They went to the same state. Trump was like 300 miles away at a different location, okay? And they both chose those locations for good reasons, because those are both the narratives that they want to spin about the immigration issue. Trump highlighted the tragic death of Laken Riley, a graduate student as an example of migrant crime. He spoke to Riley's parents and emphasized the devastating impact of her loss. During Trump's trip, he highlighted the story of Laken Riley, a 22-year-old nursing student who was killed by a Venezuelan illegal immigrant who killed her while she was out on a jog. He spoke to her parents. He spoke about the tragic loss. He talked about how we need border security. And here we go right here. This young lady's life has been lost because of Biden's immigration policies. That's what he's saying. It's the devastating impact of her loss. And let's focus on that to send our message home. Okay. I hate when the lid is all backwards. You know what I'm saying? So that makes sense where we at? Okay. So during Trump's visit, he remarks how Riley was a beautiful young woman and criticized Biden's handling of the border crisis, which is obvious. That's what he would do. You're going to have a different point of view about the immigration crisis if you have intimate association with it. For instance, I grew up, my dad, he worked construction. He had a crew at a very popular construction company here in Washington, D.C. He used to tell me when I was a kid, he used to say, man, there's an influx of immigrants that are coming in. They take a lot of jobs. Used to be once upon a time, Black guy can get a job working construction here on my lot. Now everybody's coming in is Hispanic. It's almost to the point where if you don't know Spanish, you can't even run the crew because that's what they're hiring. They're hiring a bunch of Hispanics. Used to be brothers they were hiring. Now they're hiring Hispanics. He used to tell me this, and I would think, Dad, come on, Dad, don't be that way, man. It's just Mexicans. And then, I didn't know. I just thought Dad sounded old and like maybe that Dad was a little bigoted. Then I realized, later in life, hey, this is an issue, Mass incarceration has put a lot of black folks, black men particularly, in these jobs, or these jobs used to be the thing. They used to make it so we were able to sustain a family, and there has been a certain amount of impact with the immigration issue because those are jobs, readily available jobs. You don't need a certain skill set coming in. You learn the job, on the job, and you could build out, make a family with that. With those jobs are going to a lot of migrants who are willing to take less money an hour for those jobs and live together in smaller, cheaper places where they can afford to take the job and make less money, frankly. So that's what time it is, man. And like that, that's been my personal experience, may not have been your experience, which leads me back to the point I'm making, man. A lot of the conversations and arguments and debates about immigration are kind of restricted to what your experience has been. Then it's also restricted to what you think you should think. Like if people are saying, yo, we need to be more thoughtful. We need to be more real sympathetic to others. You're like, oh, that's my worldview. That's the way I want to see politics. That's the way that's my ideology. That's the way I want to see the world. This makes me a better person. But you haven't experienced a lack of resources, a lack of, just access that some people have faced in other communities. You may be numb to the fact that there are people even in your own community who are dealing with certain ramifications of the border crisis. So take that all in consideration. And once again, still, let's say you have friends that are new immigrants or recent immigrants, and you're like, hey, my friend's a good person. They should not have such trouble crossing the border or becoming an American citizen. That's what, if you don't want people to become American citizens, or if you don't want to help people that are crossing the border, maybe you should take down that Statue of Liberty and change the message you're sending to the world, which is bring your huddled masses, come be Americans. Maybe you should change that to don't come. Don't come. Like Kamala Harris put her on the Statue of Liberty and just change the inscription to don't come, don't come.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur.
Don't come. Get where I'm going? So there's two sides, more than two sides, it's like 3-4 sides to the issue. And we got people that are arguing about it, but I don't think you see any other point of view on it. I know I didn't see the other point of view on it until later. It took me a while, many years actually, to really understand what my dad was talking about when he was telling me about immigration. And then still, I thought I had it, but I didn't kind of have it because I thought, okay, are these Republican talking points? Is this just Republican spin? Yeah, some of it is, but it's rooted in 7.2 million people is a lot of people to bring into the country. Like, where are these people going? What are we doing? I'm not saying they all stay, but that's how many people cross the border. Then you got the Democrats. They want a border bill, understanding, they want to create this new border bill, right? That's what Biden wants Trump to do as a border security, a bipartisan border security bill, but they want to also put in the Ukraine funding. Like, why do you want to put Ukraine funding with the border money and the border security funding? Why can't these be separate bills? Because a lot of people don't want to fund Ukraine, right? And then we get into, well, does Trump want to solve it? They were saying that Trump was signaling the Republicans, don't sign any type of bill right now anyway, because I'm going to run on this. It's going to be a big part of my campaign to take back the White House. And if you run on it and solve it, well, there goes my whole issue for being elected president. And some people say, Tim, that's not true. But at the end of the day, man, we're just people trying to figure it out. That's all we are. People trying to figure it out. I think it's very reasonable to say, yo, The Ukraine money bill should be a separate bill by itself. The immigration bill, the border bill should be a separate bill by itself. And these things should not be conflated or combined to somehow affect the other, right? To have influence over what people have to decide based on other politics. But this is how Washington does business, and this happens with all types of issues across the board. This is just what we do in America, right? This is why politics sucks. Think about what you think. Think about what you believe. Step back from it and sort of realize or come to an understanding maybe that what you were told, what you've been told, what you watch on TV, it's got spin. Look at Trump going to the worst place on the border, the most dramatic instances of what's happening, and highlighting an issue of a woman being killed by a migrant and making that the focal point. Also realize you could have looked at that problem another way, like, violence against women is a problem. How many women are killed by migrants compared to how many women are killed by just regular American citizens out for a jog? And I'm pretty sure we know American citizens kill a lot more women joggers than migrants. But yeah, put that guy in jail for a long time, and yeah, he shouldn't have been here. And yeah, but see what I'm saying? And then also look at the other side of it, which is, hey, Joe Biden, why would you want to go down to the border and not go to the place that's the worst, that needs the most help? Why are you going to a place that's quiet to talk about the problem? It's almost like you don't want to talk about the problem. So, yeah. And then there's us. Rational, free-thinking people that are trying to figure this thing out and trying to come to an understanding and trying to decide what makes sense for us and trying to use our votes accordingly. And yeah, it's not an easy issue to digest. But yeah, we can't just do nothing. For calling it out, I'm Tim Black.